Welcome to Tribal Data Toolbox 3.0 online. This course is going to be different than any other course that you've taken, unless you've taken our emissions inventory courses, because this course uses your data. It's individualized so that everybody's assignments are basically to learn about the toolbox using their data, figure out what functions of the toolbox they want to use, whether it's many functions of the toolbox including charts and graphs, or if you just want to use the toolbox to produce AQS ready files for both your routine hourly pollutant or parameter data as well as your QC data. This course is, as all of our courses are, a strict there is no such thing as a dumb question zone. We all know different things. We're all experts in different areas. So you know many things that I don't know, and vice versa. These courses are an opportunity for us to share information. And if you have a question, chances are 4 or 5 other people have the same question. We have these video modules that are very, very targeted. So every exercise is demonstrated, and oftentimes the videos contain more demonstrations than we have time to do online webinars. We also plan on spending a lot of time individually with you, starting from the very beginning. This module introduces the toolbox and goes over its 5 major functions. This course focuses on continuous data, continuous PM measured with a BAM or a TOM, and continuous ozone data, which would be similar to any other continuous gaseous pollutant, and MET data. The toolbox can manage PM filter data, PM10 or PM2.5 filter data, where the filters are sent to a lab. But as you know, if you manage such data, you have then 2 input streams: the input stream from the field, the information from your samplers or about the samplers, and the information from the lab. So if you want to learn how to use the toolbox to manage PM filter data, we can work with you individually on that. This module is to set up your computer so that the toolbox logistics as well as data file manipulation is easier. We're going to just get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty and show you some things that will alleviate your stress about using the toolbox, how it saves the data automatically. I'll demonstrate where the toolbox lives on your computer and go through an example for setting up files and folders to make your data file manipulation easier. So what is the Tribal Data Toolbox version 3.0? It is a Microsoft Access database, and it provides a structured data management system, including documentation. It does require that you have Microsoft Office installed on your computer, and it works and has been extensively tested with Microsoft Office 2003 all the way through Microsoft Office 2013. And as you know, sometimes the screens look a little bit different depending upon which version of Office you're in, but we have videos and exercises and help files that we've tested and work for all the versions of Office from 2003 all the way through 2013. Even if you don't know anything about programming or databases, you can use the toolbox because it's completely form driven. So similar to how you buy something online where there's a form and you know how the state box, you have a drop down box, the toolbox works like that. So when you start to put information in, then it remembers that information and it provides it the next time you open that form or when you open a form subsequent to that one. It's consistent with Microsoft Excel also. It's very, very easy to import and export files from the toolbox to Excel and vice versa. It's really good for small offices because it provides a one-stop shop where you can manage all your data. You can produce reports, and a lot of the reports are customizable. And then, of course, the AQS formatting. It can import data from samplers and data loggers, and you can also import data from AQS or in files that you download from whatever file management system you use, including Trex, for example. It has 5 general categories of functions, including the administrative functions, which are necessary to manage your data. Data inflow is the second major category of the function. So this function has to do with routine data moving, when you're moving your data into the toolbox, as well as data entering, quality control, and maintenance checks on your equipment. And as part of the data inflow, just as you do when you are looking at your data online or at the instrument, you check it out in terms of really high values, really low values, where the value's changing a lot from 1 hour to the next. Those sort of initial data review functions are done in the data import process. So when you import data, you do initial checks of the data just to make sure that it doesn't have anything really weird, and you can assign flags at that point, and that's the second function of the toolbox. The third function is more in-depth data review and validation. So this allows you to look at your QC checks if you've entered them into the toolbox. And the toolbox has some really cool functions as part of data review and validation, where you can look at data that you've already flagged. You can generate reports so that when you're looking at your data and trying to assess, is this value an outlier? And then of course, the final data invalidation, where you assign AQS null value codes and you decide this data is not valid and you state why, and that's represented in those AQS null value codes. Then the fourth really cool function of the toolbox are the reports and charts. Angelique has coded a wonderful variety of customizable reports and charts, including graphs of multiple parameters over time, including summary reports of the data that you've imported, and creating summary statistics over whatever time period you want. And you can export charts and reports into other programs like Excel and Adobe, as well as Word. And then finally, in basically just a few clicks, you can create AQS ready files for both your parameter data, like your pollutant or your met data, and your QC data. We want to emphasize that we have tested the toolbox using many data files supplied to us from lots of generous tribes all over the country, including different kinds of continuous PM, ozone, other gaseous pollutants, met data, and data produced by a wide variety of data loggers, as well as, for example, downloading data from Trex or AQS or wherever you download data from. You can format it and import it into the toolbox. The toolbox has really cool hyperlinks, so whenever you see click here for help file on any of the toolbox forms, you can click that button and it will open up the SOP that is appropriate for whatever function you're using. As long as you set up the files and folders on your computer correctly, those hyperlinks will function. And now it has a wizard. The toolbox has a wizard that has fast track options. The new user's fast track is for easy entry of the admin stuff, the people, the site, and the sampler. There's a continuous or met data fast track that provides you with just those functions you need if you just manage continuous or met data. And then also there's a filter data fast track that you can use if you just manage PM filter data with the toolbox. And this wizard that has these fast tracks is designed to help you navigate the toolbox. Whatever functions you use on the toolbox, you learn how to access those functions really easily, and we hope the wizard helps you do that. The main switchboard is the navigation pane that used to be used primarily in navigating the toolbox, and it's still there. And for some of the functions, you have to go to the main switchboard, but you don't necessarily have to use all of them, which is why we provided those fast track options in the wizard. So that's an overview of the Tribal Data Toolbox and how awesome it is.